Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Sorry we're a bit late. Slight technical difficulties. I'm Dean Ellaby, and this is...
Hajat Dalawal.
Hi, Harjit. Good to see you again. This session is unscripted, unplanned, as always. So unplanned, we weren't even on time. So there you go.
There's always technical difficulties, right?
There is, and they're harder to kind of fix than a Teams call where you can just kind of say, give me a second, because
Exactly.
I can't kind of hit the live button until we fixed it. Anyway, so if you want to ask us a question, we're monitoring LinkedIn and YouTube this time, which I think is better than not monitoring any at all, like last time. So that's good. Harjit, while we wait for the questions to pour in, because I'm sure we'll have some questions shortly. In fact, I'm just going to message the chat now from us. Let me just see if I can message everyone. Can't post messages in some channels. Let's see what happens.
Oh,
It looks like it's going to
I did see a
YouTube.
hello pop up.
Yeah, it's going to YouTube. Oh well, looks like we can't post to LinkedIn, but we can read messages on LinkedIn, which is the important thing. Harjit, while we wait for the questions to pour in, do you want to? Have you been up to anything recently this week? Obviously, last week was a big announcement.
Yeah, I know. So the big announcement came out, and a lot of people are excited, including myself. Obviously, a lot of great interactions that have been happening, in the IT world that you and I are both involved with. Yeah, a lot of excitement. So I've been dabbling into things and also looking into the products, our Robopack, and things like that, and coming up with some plans for the next few months. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Did you know much about Robopack before you joined? Because I appreciate you had a job, right? You were doing other things, and not necessarily to do with Robopack, surely. So
Yeah,
did
I
you have
did.
much of a...
So when it first came out, it was like, wait, what is this all about? Like, we have, several other players in that, and as Robopack started growing and stuff, I was like, oh wait, there's something to this. There's something. So I knew about it for a little while, but I didn't know in depth on what it could do, right? Um, and now I'm seeing all the wonders, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good. I mean, I was an Intune admin, so I was doing lots of application deployment. So when I found it, it was like a breath of fresh air, just coming
Yeah.
in and seeing what it could do. And then obviously, as I joined the team and started doing these videos, it was much easier for me to understand how it does what it does,
Yeah.
rather than just that it does what it does. So it's really
Yeah,
impressive, I think.
I think I mentioned in the previous, episode that we had was, I also dabbled in config manager. I was a config manager admin for like 20 years and stuff. And one of my primary, responsibilities was application management. It was huge. I mean, it was a big chunk of my time every single month. In the early stages was fine. It was, the usual thing. But as, bad actors started finding ways and say, hey, why are we attacking, through the OS and stuff? Well, we have backdoor channels to applications. So
Mm,
application patching and securing them became huge. It was a big
yeah.
thing. So I spent a lot of time, doing superseding apps to quickly, remediate, vulnerabilities and stuff like that. But that took so much time. Oh my God.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I was a config manager admin as well. Before it became uncool. In the US, I hear a lot of organizations still use config manager, which is very different to the UK and Europe.
right.
But yeah, it's interesting that they're still
Yeah.
using over there. Um,
So I think part of the reason with a lot of, there's still config manager in the works is, server management is another big one, right? Not everyone wants to go to Azure Arc and, to Azure and stuff like that, but they still have 700 or, 1,000 servers that was what I managed in my organization before.
right.
So I had to keep them patched. I had to keep them, you had your SQL databases and SQL servers that, you had to patch at a specific sequence like that, right? So config manager obviously helps tremendously in that space. So yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. Intune's no good for servers. Not yet, anyway. I'm sure there'll be some things in the works at some point. Defender for Endpoint can currently manage servers, which is a big deal.
yeah,
Um, so there's obviously some stuff happening, but
yeah.
I think
So
that's
we
the
got a
reason config manager still exists.
so we have a question from Matt Hughes. I don't know whether you see that or not,
I
but
do. There it is.
there it is.
So were you highlighting the question because you had an answer, or is that me?
No, no, no. I'm just flagging it. So
No, good, good.
that's
So I was
Robopack or Intune
avoiding
Electric
that one, Matt.
Control. Yeah,
No, I mean the answer is so the obviously the question's on the screen, but so I understand it, you are familiar with maintenance windows in Config Manager, and even Intune has maintenance windows, I think, for Windows updates and for update scheduling and that. I think it doesn't have it for apps though.
right.
And so no, there's no concept of maintenance windows built into Robopack, and because all Robopack does is use Intune to deliver the applications to the device, there's nothing built in that with Intune that we can just turn on or use. So no, there's no capability to do update timing, except I mean, it depends how deep you go with your PowerShell application deployment template, because there could be a possibility. I've never tested it to to put something in there to look for the date time and use that as a pre-installation thing, and
Mhm.
then if it's not the right date time, then exit with an error code. And it's kind of the same way we do deferrals. I guess you can make your own deferral concept using the local date time on the computer. That could work. In fact, I should probably do a video on that, shouldn't I? Just to see if that could work. I should probably test it before doing it. Nah, I'll do the video. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay, but that's pretty much it. And I appreciate the business case outlined there. You don't want applications to update during call center hours, but I guess you could just use the built-in deferral for that and give them unlimited deferrals, right? If the remote desktop app is running and it's in the close apps list, then it will prompt the user to defer. And if they say no, then it'll try again next time. And at
Mhm.
some point, hopefully, it would update without the user clicking defer.
Right. But even deferrals, I mean, you don't have, your specific target hour that you want, right?
No,
You're just like prolonging it a little bit longer. This is where like
you're just failing it. Yeah, yeah. In Intune, will retry and retry and retry until it gets it installed, and that's all we're doing. We're just failing the app install.
there's definitely a good business case here, really.
Hmm.
Um, it's a good one. So I had some questions. I think got prompted through the community and stuff, and one of them is, what happens if users are actually using an app when Robopack tries to patch it?
Hmm. what happens if users are using an app in Robopack? So if the app is listed in the close apps, um, section of Robopack for that particular app, then it will close the app.
Hmm.
Um, if you allow deferral, and if you use in the PSADT settings, if you allow deferral and specify that it should only prompt if there are apps to close, then it will pop up and say these apps need to be closed. Do you want to defer it?
Hmm.
That's yeah. Otherwise, it will just install. It won't care that the app is in use, and some apps are happy with that to just have the application updated in the background while it's running, and some obviously aren't. So, I
Right.
think that's the importance of testing, really,
Yeah.
to make sure that you actually get it tested in your environment in Ring 1 or Wave 1 to make
Yeah.
sure that it actually works, and obviously do those scenarios where if it's running,
Yeah.
see what happens.
This brings back a lot of horror stories, horror experiences that I had back as a config manager admin.
Yeah,
We had like apps like, for example, Java. If they were in use, or if you had a DLL that was, running, it would
yeah,
just fail to install. Like, so we had to create a custom script to go in, make sure like when we're trying to patch them, kill all the DLL, kill all the processes, kill, even the system tray, you know, places, where Java is, and then it would install. I mean, it was
yeah.
a lot of learning from there. So
Um, just realised I've been talking through how to do. I've got a little bit of an echo. I don't know if anyone in the chat is also receiving an echo, but it's obviously from you, Harjit, not me. Have you got
oh really?
your no your echo cancellation on your audio? 'Cause I know we had a little bit of audio issues at the
Let me
start.
try that. I do have it.
You have it on. Ah, okay. Why can I hear myself then? Okay, never mind. Let me jump over to this screen. And what I'm going to do now is just quickly show you how you can put apps in the close apps list, because I referred to doing that, but I
Yeah.
might as well show you because I have the capability to screen share. So on an app that you're working with, then you have these custom settings. If there isn't already a custom setting there, then you haven't built a custom setting for it. So you can create one. There'll be a button down here to add a custom setting, and when you get into it, it'll look a little bit like this. This is the create a custom settings screen. And then we've just got this bit down here, apps to close. So if you know that in order to actually install successfully, Chrome can't be running because it will fail or whatever, then you just put the application name in there. I think you can get away without the executable as well, the .exe as well. You just need the name of the process. So
Hmm.
that will allow you to do that. I mean, we've also got all the other options here around disabling dependencies, and Robopack also, because the team behind it understand how applications install and how they work, and what common
Hmm.
applications need in order to work properly, they also do some customization for you. Adobe Reader is a great example of that. There's loads of customization that every enterprise needs to do, and there's no point in every enterprise doing it if you're using Robopack. So you can they put those customizations in there, and you obviously don't see them, but they work. And then if you want to override them, then you can just override them by creating a custom setting and setting it the way you want. But also you can just remove the stuff they're doing to make it
Right.
work better, if you like. But yeah, this is how you do the close apps. And then, as I was saying, if you want to allow deferral, that is over in your script template. And I've got a deferral here example, and you've got the
Hmm.
allow deferral option there. And you can only show if there are apps to close. Otherwise, you can just allow a deferral regardless if there are apps to close or not. But yeah, it's
Yeah, that's a great.
that's pretty much what happens. I mean, as
great
I say, test it so you know what will happen with that particular
Exactly.
app, and then otherwise, if you need to fix it, then fix it with this.
Yeah. So don't do this in production, huh? Because hey, live a
Well,
little, man. You know.
Well, the whole do do companies have pre-production Intune environments? I've never worked with a company who had a. Actually, one company had a pre-production config manager environment, but
Yeah.
not Intune. I think Intune's a little bit too far, right?
Well, when I was a cloud solution architect and working with, oh my God, excuse me, working with some really large, customers, they did have a test into an environment actually,
Hmm.
completely small scale. I think they did a lot of like upgrades and things like that, and to see what could happen. But in majority, it's your production tenant, right? All you're trying to do, your testing, is that you got your test devices and groups and things like that, like how
Yeah,
we are encouraging people to do. Yeah,
yeah, because your production environment is the one that is going to be used for the deployment. So
yeah,
I guess you can do pre-production testing, obviously, but then you still need to test in production as well to make sure it actually
right.
works in the real environment. We have another question. So, do you plan support for PSADT 4? We do plan support for PSADT 4. There's a lot of advancements and improvements. It was a huge release, wasn't it? So, yes, there's plans for PSADT 4. It's currently being tested. What we want to make sure is that, obviously, when we bring it in, it doesn't impact anyone who isn't using PSADT
Right.
4, and it'll probably become the default. So we don't want to break anyone's deployments that they are currently doing, obviously. So there's a lot of testing needed to make sure it works because Robopack is kind of built on PSADT, so that kind of change is quite a big thing.
Do we have what do you call it? A private preview for testing for Robopack?
We do. It's not that a one that you can opt in. It's not like an official private preview. Um, it's currently in the test environment, which isn't obviously in ready
Right.
for people to use at all. But yeah, it's just being worked on. Really, that's the main thing.
Constantly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love these questions. Bring them on. Like, keep them coming. It's working actually.
Did you have more questions? You said you had a list of them. We're just
What was the other one? I think you did this last week already, but can you patch all your apps at once, or does it still need to be one at a time? Um,
hmm,
you know,
can you patch all your apps at once? I mean, you can tell Robopack to do it all at once, and then
right,
Robopack will tell Intune to push all the apps at once. Your testing obviously is on a per app basis. I really encourage testing, obviously, but if you were to Radar's probably a good example of this, where you can select multiple. I'll choose a tenant which has some apps in it. There you go. Where you can select multiple and push them to a patch group,
yeah.
and then the patch group will contain all those applications. All of them are in there. Wow, that's unusual. Let me. Oh no. Let me select a few of these and put
Yep.
them in a patch group that I haven't used for a demo before. All of them again. Wow. I should probably stop selecting exactly the same thing over and over again, shouldn't I? There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
Get three of those added. And then it'll let us go to the patch group, and a patch group is really where you can patch multiple apps at once. So from effort perspective, from an admin time perspective, yeah, you can do it all at once. It's just a case of making sure that when it goes to your first computers, your IT pilot
Right.
computers, you're going to need to watch it install or allow it to install, and
Hmm.
then actually feedback if there are any issues and pause it. You can see I've paused all of these because I don't want them to be constantly updating my computers, my one or two lab computers that I've got. So you can pause them and then yeah, if there's an issue with the app, then obviously don't let it go to the next step on a per app basis. But yes, you can do multiple.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That's
just gonna like you're grouping them together, right? You just like boom, and then whatever sequence it needs to go through, and with dependencies and things like that, it's just gonna install them. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and that's a relatively new feature. It came out with Radar patch groups because radar, as you can see, when you're scanning the tenant and you've got this list of apps that you need to patch, it would be really annoying to have to select add patch flow every time. So,
Oh yeah.
and also I think that the team found out that there was only a couple of different ways organizations were deploying their applications. So there was only in a if you actually looked at the different combinations of groups that were being used to deploy, there was only a couple per organization. So there
Right.
wasn't much variation within in each organization as to how they were deploying, and that's where it's perfect to just use one or two patch groups
Yeah.
to fit that.
Yeah, and I think,
Um,
another, the way I look at this also, if you can just lump everything into one patch group or two patch groups or whatever you want, but you can also probably break it down into, like, what are those apps all about? Are they productivity apps? Are they utility apps? Are they photography apps, and so on and so forth, right?
mhm.
If you want to segment them that way, you could do that too, to make sure that that particular type of apps, are pushed down and installed and updated and stuff.
Yeah, and I guess the only the differentiating thing
Mhm.
within each of the patch groups is kind of how it's deployed, not necessarily
Mm.
what's deployed. Obviously,
Right.
you can put apps in multiple patch groups if you want to, and you probably have to. But the difference between them is how they're deployed. So which waves they're going to. That's the only thing real thing that's changing, and also the script template. So
Mhm.
you could be doing allow deferrals, for example, on some applications and not others, and then therefore you might have a patch group for allowing deferrals. Or you might want to do more testing or deploy to dev teams rather than to marketing team. There's loads of
Right.
different combinations, and that's exactly why it's useful to have multiple patch groups.
Yeah.
I don't think I need that many, considering
No.
I don't have a real environment. But
I've
uh,
I I feel you can go down the rabbit hole, and I've seen, like, especially in my config manager days and working as a CSA and stuff like that. You know, I've come across environments where they had like 7,000 groups or 5,000. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's going to take so long to process and stuff. In my opinion, keep it simple, right? KISS. uh, and, you can, because you can get as complicated as you want it to be. Uh, why make your life harder, right?
yep, indeed. One of the things I did want to show was the custom settings feature. I think it's pretty, excuse me, pretty magical how it works. So, custom app settings, for example, I showed you that you could add the apps to close um, earlier on. But if we look at, let's do a one for green shot, for example.
I love Green Shot.
I don't use it. I'm
Oh,
on a Mac, so I probably can't. Um, but yeah, I use it as a demo quite a lot because it's a very, very small installer, and my internet sometimes is pretty bad. All the time is pretty bad, actually. So when you're creating custom settings, you can have multiple tenants listed. So I might have some settings that are relevant for all of the tenants in my environment,
mhm.
or I might have some that are specific for one tenant. So you can see when I add my tenants here, all this pane here that I'm working in changes. So
Right.
you can have completely different settings per tenant, and I think that's important to understand because then you might have a license key or some kind of key to get into a particular environment on a per tenant basis, obviously. So
Mhm.
that's very useful. And so yeah, we can just create the custom settings here and maybe customize the installer or add a registry value or even add a file. And the important thing about the files is that you can put them anywhere on the disk. These are the common places that you might want to put them, but you can just go to the drive root and put it anywhere within the drive root. Let me add a file. I'll show you what I mean. You can put it anywhere. You can just choose the
Yeah.
subfolders, so that's incredibly useful. And you've also got this include in script but do not copy tab across the top here, and that's actually where it's going to put it in the script accessory files up here. And that's useful if you want to reference a file, maybe not an executable, maybe a file that you
Mhm.
want to reference when you're using PowerShell later on, or for some reason you need to put the file on the computer, but you don't want it to remain there afterwards once the application's installed. You just need it for the installation. So that's a really good example there, where you can put that there. And then the other thing is PowerShell. So you can add in all of the possible commands that you want. For example, you can add in a pre-install command here. So do this before installing.
Mhm.
And then you can also add in a post-install command, and you can add multiple post-install commands. So
Right.
you can really build quite a complicated installer if you need to. And the beauty of this, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you this right now, but the beauty of this is that when you choose Save Settings, it goes and does that and applies it to the green shot or to whatever application you've applied it to. It does it now, and it's already finished applying it. So if I find the application, and have a look at my custom app setting, this is probably not the one that was created a little while ago. I'm not going to be able to find it because I've got too many. This is not a good
Too many
example.
green shots.
Let me quickly create another custom. Think of an application that you could use. 7-zip maybe? I'll think of it myself.
Yeah, Notepad++.
Notepad++. I love Notepad++. There it is.
Here we go.
So I'm just going to go back and put those example commands in. Do this first, and then do
Slides.
after. And then I'll choose save, and it's already done, so I'll go back to the app and find the application. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Okay, bad example. I don't know how I've managed to do so many Notepad++ custom settings. There you go.
There
So
it is. Yeah.
if I find the app, there it is, and I'm just going to download it. And that's the other thing. It needs to be quite small so I can actually download it quick enough. I'm going to open it up and see what settings have actually changed within the PSADT. I told you it was unplanned and unscripted.
Oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I mean it's not great, but it's
Well,
while we wait, we've got a question. So it'd be nice to add the CVSS score to the application, and you are absolutely right. It would be great
Yes.
to add the CVSS score. So the Common Vulnerability Security Score or something like that,
Yeah.
or security something. But yeah, that's very useful. And yes, we're looking at that. That's on the roadmap, certainly. I don't know if anyone on the team who knows the roadmap, looking at the founder, for example, if you happen to be at your keyboard and watching on LinkedIn, maybe you could message.
I believe it is on the roadmap.
It is on the road. I just don't know when.
Yeah, I don't know
So,
when, but I know it's on the roadmap. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
But
one of the things I brought up as well recently.
because I think the reason it wasn't included right at the start was because patch the apps as soon as you can. According to the Robopack team, I guess that's
It is.
it's very
It's very
close.
close.
It just responded on YouTube. It's very close. The reason it wasn't included at the start is because just patch all the apps as soon as you can. As soon as you're ready to patch the apps, Robopack is ready. Get them patched. You don't need to prioritize. And I guess you can counter that and say, look, you do need to prioritize sometimes because it might be a big uplift for the users of the apps in order to patch them. So if there's no risk, then yeah. But CVSS on its own isn't perfect. You know, it's a rating of the severity of the CVE, but that doesn't necessarily relate to your environment. So it might be that it's a very, it's the worst ever CVE. It's the worst exploit ever, but you haven't got any vulnerable devices and your environment isn't vulnerable to that type of attack. So this might be CVSS 10, but you aren't going to be impacted by it. So then CVSS isn't perfect from that perspective. But anyway, that's me rambling.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
have
no,
a,
no, it's good. But you know what? CVS is, to me, I think it's important because it really gives you a visual on what's going on in the environment. And a lot of organizations are using various security scans and stuff like Nessus and things like that, right? To jive with them. And the folks that are actually doing the patching work through Intune may not necessarily be the security folks, and they have to jive with those folks and say, "Hey, here's what we got. Do I have
yeah,
the okay to push this out?" Kind of a thing. So
yeah.
yeah, it is coming. So that's good. Um, and our
Just
founder has posted a link as well.
he has. I want to just before I jump onto that, I want to just finish this because I was before I lose my train of thought. I'm going to just open up this
The download.
this download, which is just a zip file, and
Yeah.
there it is there. So we've got this download. I'm going to open up the PS1. Actually, before I start, you can see we've got. It looks like it's the wrong one. It is the wrong one. Oh no, it's all of them put together, isn't it? Yes. So I'll jump in and show this because it's got multiple custom settings, and you can see it's all in PSEDT. So I'm just going to scroll down and find the bit where it says do this first. So that's where do this first and then do this after. And also in the previous demonstration of custom settings, I've pushed some documentation to the desktop and that kind of thing. So it all kind of just bunches up into one set of custom settings for the application, no matter how many custom settings you've got. If they all apply, and obviously if you're in different tenants, then it'll create a different version of the app with different custom settings in it. So, yes. I think it's magic that it's done that on the fly, ready for me to package up. I think it's incredibly useful because it's now. I downloaded that from Robopack as a PSEDT, but it's also Intune Win ready to go up to Intune as well. And it did that in the few seconds it took me to make those changes, which I think is pretty important.
That is incredible.
So we have a message from Ronnie. I'm scared to click the link. I really am scared to click the link. What's it called? Reports.
You got to log in.
Whoa.
Okay.
Okay. We have reports. It's not my fault if you weren't expecting me to show that, Ronnie. You put it in the chat. It's you say it's not finished, which is fine. But yeah, we have reports coming. That was the other thing that we are constantly being asked for is reports. So yes, they're coming as well. As he said, it's not ready or finished. So another question: can you share the roadmap? And yes, it is just.
It's up there. Xander has shared it already.
Oh, is it? Okay. So it is just /roadmap.
Robopack.com/roadmap. Yep.
I don't know why I can't select it. But yes, that is shared as well. And then another question. Radar tracking. If a group has been... Oh, there we go. If a group has been generated and an update is required, when a new version comes in the meanwhile the app is removed from the device, would radar upgrade? I think I understand the question. And let me just make sure I understand it. You're saying with radar tracking, if an app is discovered on the device, then it gets added to the radar tracking group and keeps it up to date. That's the whole point of radar tracking. It keeps the apps up to date. Now, I keep saying your responsibility as the admin is to either update the app or remove the app from the device. And you've correctly pointed out that if you remove the app from the device, it won't necessarily remove from the radar tracking group. So for now, it does not remove from the radar tracking group. So you would need to manually go in and remove it from the radar tracking group, and then the app won't be discovered on the devices anymore, so it won't get re-added. So then it's not going to be updated constantly. But yes, that's currently a thing that is being added.
Cool.
Yeah.
Don't forget, there's a question from Matt.
There is. Do you want to take that one, or should I?
You go for it.
Okay. Does Robopack work with an enrollment status page? If a Robopack app is in the ESP, blocking apps will auto-update to the new vendor release versions. It worked with the ESP because they're all Win32 apps, so there's nothing special you need to do in order to use the ESP in Autopilot. It also uses supersedence, so if you've got that correctly configured, then, which is by default, so it should be fine, then it will install the superseding application. So if you put 7-zip version 19 in there and version 20 comes out, then it will supersede that app, and then the app that gets installed on Autopilot devices will be 20. Slight caveat around if the app has been released and it's in testing and therefore not deployed to the Autopilot devices group or all devices, then it won't use the latest version. Obviously, it'll use the version that is currently production, not the one that's being tested. I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But no manual action needed each time. No. Good. Well, lots of questions. That's good.
This is very interactive today. This is good.
It is, well, because we actually looked at the chat. I think that's probably the main thing. Ronnie is typing a lot, and I can't keep up.
He's actually being very helpful. He
is very helpful normally. Don't put him down. He's always very helpful. He's the most helpful founder I've ever met. Next release will remove the radar tracking. Okay. So yeah, it is coming, and he's just confirmed it. The next release of radar will remove it from the radar tracking group, which is good. Yeah, so 6 months, more than 6 months, 8 months, 9 months ago, it supports updating apps marked as required in the ESP. When an app is superseded to a new version, any enrollment profiles where the app is set as required will be replaced with a newer version. So thankfully, that stuff that I said actually has been confirmed. So, yeah. All good?
All good. And thank you to Chaim for your wonderful comment about Robopack.
There it is. Yeah, I like it. I like it as well. It's useful.
Simple, easy.
Yeah. I think with a lot of customers using Config Manager, then I think it would be useful to highlight some of the capabilities around migrating from Config Manager. So I mentioned that we have the Config Manager import tool earlier on. I think that maybe the last session where you can literally run this tool on Config Manager and it will import all of your applications. But you shouldn't. The same as we said last time. You shouldn't just import everything.
No.
I am building a course on the university platform down here to help people understand how to make the decisions around moving stuff from Config Manager to Intune, because you should, use Intune for app deployment. It's pretty good. It's obviously on the journey to cloud native and moving all those workloads across. Then yes, it's the next step really. Most other things like Autopatch is now used for instead of WSUS. Yeah, it's the next step to get those apps moved across, and it shouldn't be hard. Really, it should be very, very easy to do that. And we see it. We see a lot of customers moving their apps from Config Manager to Intune.
Yeah, I think the key here is that you mentioned going cloud native, right? I mean, that's the whole point here, right? If you're doing Intune, you're basically there, and now you're trying to deal with your apps that are still on premises and shift them over. But um, yeah, but again, like you and I talked about this last week. Like, don't bring your old baggage into this new space, right? Keep it clean, keep it like, productive in terms of what actually does your organization need? What do your end users need, right? Don't just give them everything that they don't, and you just keep creating bloat for nothing. Uh, Same thing with
Yeah.
group policies, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, some admins I go into a lot of customers and ask why it's there, why that thing is there, and a lot of the answers are don't know. It's always been there, and that's the worst answer. I mean, you should know why things are in your environment.
Yeah,
Great question from Benny. Is Robopack still free for under 100 devices in a single tenant? It is free for under 100 devices. I didn't know there was a restriction on the number of tenants, actually. I think it's just free for under 100 devices, so you could have lots of tenants. And
right.
that first video I did, I think I was using the free license, and I used multiple tenants.
Yeah. I got to give a plug to obviously Team Robopack and stuff. And the reason why we're doing this, for 100 or less, is to help all the small, very small organizations, right? That don't really have an IT person, or non-profits and things like that. This is a way of Robopack giving back to the community, right? To support um, everyone really as much as possible.
Indeed. There is
Hmm.
a link that's just been posted in chat by the Robopack team. I just need to get it onto a QR code so that we can share it. Let me do that now for free license.
Free
So
for
it's
NGOs. Yep, no
this one
device limitations.
here.
That's
There it is,
amazing.
just on the top left. That, I promise, is not a rickroll. It will take you to the form to request a free license if you have a small team of under 100, or you are an NGO. I think it's NGOs.
Non-government organization.
No, I know what NGO stands for. I'm just
Oh,
not
yeah,
sure if
what is
that's
that?
if that's the people who we actually make it free for.
Right,
Um, it
exactly.
is. It's SMB or NGO. Yes. So yeah, we can. You can get a free license there. It's just a form. It went away. It's just a form to fill out to let us check that you actually are an SMB or an NGO, and then yeah, you have your free license.
Excellent. Yeah, and try it out. Give us some feedback on our next office hours.
Oh, actually, I didn't realize that it's free for NGOs regardless of the number of devices. That's
Hmm.
impressive. I thought it was just the SMB. Oh, why would it be? Yeah, but there's some
Yeah,
huge NGOs out there. That's
I don't think there are
very.
that many, but yeah, there are some out there. But
It's
in
quite
general,
a
you
few.
can. Yeah,
NGOs is a big thing.
yeah.
But yeah, completely free for them, which is good. Uh,
Right. So you got the form, you got the code, and uh, another question.
might be a stupid question. There's no stupid questions. I mean, there isn't. A lot of MSIX installs discovered, for example, Spotify and WhatsApp. Both of these are available in instant apps. What's the reason they're not patchable?
Oh,
Not patchable.
Spotify or WhatsApp?
I've seen a lot of those MSIX installs discovered. Um, bear with me a second. I'm not sharing my screen. The I just searched for Spotify. Spotify's there, using Winget, and it is a executable. So I guess if you've discovered an MSIX version, I don't think there's a reason, I don't think that's a feature, or something that's meant to be. So maybe raise a ticket with the support team, or send some feedback to ask the support team, because they should be patchable. I think I've not heard of anything that isn't patchable, unless Ronnie has a chance to reply and give a reason for that. Otherwise, I think raise it as a ticket, and the team will look into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you were saying there, any feedback you like, we're having another office hours next week, I guess. Hopefully. There's two versions in Instant Apps, Winget and Store. There's two versions in Instant Apps. There's two
Let's
versions.
check it out.
I am on Spotify. So there's Spotify Music, and there's Spotify. That's the Store version, and it was updated today, and it should be patchable. I mean, we can patch it. So, Ronnie, I assume it's Ronnie, said support will look into it. So, yeah, the team will be all over that. I don't know if you need to raise a ticket because you've just raised it here. So, they will look into it for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely appreciate that, Marek, for flagging that. So if we don't know, we don't know, right? So
no, it works most of the time very well. And then for any issues, that's why we have a support team. So, yeah.
Oh, I got one question. Does Robopack work on Macs, or don't we? Oh, we don't care about that.
I don't think Macs exist. Not yet. It's coming. I know not a lot about it. I'm working with the team on it, but it's I don't have any updates to share. It's still being worked on to make it good. I mean, I doubt we're going to have feature parity with all the different features that we have with Windows. Windows is a completely different thing. So it's unlikely to be like for like, but the things we're trying to, the goals are things like agentless and to test and get documentation and those kind of things. That's the core values of Robopack. So, we're working on that.
Right.
So one of the support team has replied. It's because the version from discovered in your tenant is an MXIX installer, and our Spotify is from Winget. But as you mentioned, and this is maybe where we need to look into it a bit more, we have a version in Robopack from the store, and maybe there's something going on there.
Can you pull up WhatsApp? Because you mentioned WhatsApp. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Instant apps, yeah.
Ooh, that's not how you spell WhatsApp. I wasn't looking at the screen. It's not in. WhatsApp is not in. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I couldn't see it.
You got one there.
Yep. That's in the store and Winget, and so really should be available. The store version is there. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But again, that's why I'm not in support, because I don't know these things. So they are deeply aware of how the product works and all the stuff in the background. So I'm not. I just talk about it because I like talking about it and using it. So, yeah.
I know, right?
As I mentioned, I am building a course on Config Manager. I think it's important to try and get people moved over from Config Manager if we can. I mean, the Software Central product we talked about last week, the Tenant Manager product, that is for Intune. It's Intune tenants, right? But Software Central do have an SCCM thing, an SCCM console or management platform where you can manage the Config Manager stuff, all your console and stuff. You don't need to log into the console. You can just log into the web interface and have different roles and permissions and manage stuff within that. So I'm actually going to do a couple of videos on that as well, I think, because I do like Config Manager. I used to really enjoy it. So I think I'm going to do some videos on that. And if anyone is currently using the Software Central, original Software Central product, then let me know and we can talk about it. In fact, if you're in chat and you have any experience with the Software Central, the original tool, then yeah, let us know.
That's great. Yeah. Um, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, don't we have something in our library about how to use Intune? Like if you're just getting started with Intune, I think we got some tutorials on that as well.
We do, yeah, in the university. This Intune training course here,
Yep.
uh, I put it together specifically to help customers get up and running with Intune. I mean, it's
Yep.
literally from the start how to create a tenant. You know, most customers already have a tenant if they're working with Robopack, but it's
Hmm.
mainly so that you can bring the rest of your team up to speed with the difference between a tenant and a subscription, and
Right.
the difference between Entra registered and Entra joined and Entra hybrid devices, that kind of thing. All of that's kind of in there. Hundreds of people have taken the course and given feedback on it. Yeah, we're just building that platform really to have more courses on there, and it's completely for free. You don't need to be a Robopack customer
Customer.
in order
Yeah.
to use it. You can just log in, and actually, I think it's probably worth asking for some feedback. We
Yeah.
are looking at whether we can enable the community on here, because there's a kind of a button that we've hidden called the community just up here, and that's where you can chat to other Robopack users or Intune people, and get feedback and have a chat.
Like a
So
like a forum, right?
it's like
That
a
would be a
forum. It
nice.
is a forum. It's really a
Yeah.
forum, but they call it a community.
Right.
But yeah, that's possible for us to turn on. We haven't done it yet, but we're considering doing that, especially for the free users who kind of don't get as many support hours and yeah, really have to kind of fix
Yeah.
things for themselves. And yeah, I think that's possibly it's possibly useful.
Yeah. And also let us know like what other courses you guys want to see. Like we say courses, but all are learning opportunities. Whether it's AutoPatch or whether it's you name it, right? It doesn't have to be Robopack specifically. We just want to make sure that IT pros and everybody else out there is able to get their job done and do what they need to do.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It doesn't need to be Robopack specific. There's not. I
Mhm.
mean, it's the Robopack University. Doesn't mean it has to be Robopack specific. It does need to be a course, though. That's the one thing I am trying to do with the university and the team is to use it only for courses. So YouTube stuff and deep dives and stuff I do on my YouTube channel and also
Right.
on the Robopack YouTube channel. But if you need to steps through a particular problem or a scenario or learn with additional course materials, this platform's a great platform for that. And then obviously feeding back and doing assessments and stuff. That's what we're building into the next course. So this platform's great for that. Whereas just
Yeah.
a kind of a how to do something individually, then I'll use YouTube for that, I think.
Yeah.
So question from Matt: are these office hours sessions recorded? They're on YouTube, so absolutely. And if you go to Office Hours Live on the university, this button up here, then you will see this one because it's live. And then after an hour or so, once we finish this one, it will switch to the next session and let you
Yeah.
let you schedule that. But then scrolling down to the bottom, we've got the previous live sessions. We're going to fix the naming on them moving forward. This is week 28, then week 29 will come along. But we did have some more sporadic naming conventions earlier on. But those are all the previous live streams that you can just click into and take a look at.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, I mean this was really good. I think it's had a lot of interaction, which is good. And I guess when you call it an AMA, then you definitely should have looked at the chat. But there you go. Well, I'm learning. I'm learning. Okay, so we're almost up to the hour, so that's all we've got time for at this point. It's time to say goodbye. So we'll see you next time, and you can reach out to either of us, and as you've seen, to the rest of the team on LinkedIn, or just message Robopack, and we can pick that up as well.
Yeah, find me anywhere. I'm all over the place. Social media, you name it, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever channels you want to communicate. I'm open to it. Signal, WhatsApp, whatever. So
Awesome.
let us know how we can help you, right? So,
Perfect. All right. For now, thanks for joining.
all right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us.
See you.